Who is Esau Edom? I found an interesting topic in this book. I've been had to go over some of the words, with the audios and stuff like that, because some of the words was very hard. But I feel like I'll be able to say a lot of these words here, and you're gonna hear me read something about Shakespeare's and all those people. So let's get off into this here. All the world's a stage. All the world's a stage. Now, this is going out and it's going into in the Bible. The Bible has different nations of people, right? It's 18 nations in the Bible, right? You have the blacks, Hispanics, Native American nation of people. Then you have the so-called white man, the white race, so-called race. They biblical identity is described in Genesis chapter 25, and where it talks about the attributes of Esau, the characteristics, and all those different things. And there are many scriptures in the Bible to prove that too. It talks about the red man. You hear things like red man, and you go into Revelation and you're gonna read about a red horse, all those things. You're gonna read about a red dragon and all that in Revelation chapter 12 and verse 1, 2, and 3. And then you're gonna read about the elect, which is you're gonna hear Israel. You're gonna hear, he shall bring forth a son, thou shalt call his name Jesus, for he shall save his people, not the whole world. You see what I'm saying? Esau, you're gonna see that Esau is not included in that his people from their sins. You're gonna see that Jacob was only given the law, and only Jacob can sin. The Israelites are the only people on the earth that can sin, because they was the only one that was given the law, is the Israelites. But all the other nations, the Edomite, Ammon, and the Jebusites, and the Canaanites, you will see in the Bible that it was not given to those nations. None of the other nations but the nation of Israel. All right, now let's see if I can go into some of this stuff here. All the world a stage. World events a problem. There is a great deal of confusion as to the nature of world events. There are mysterious political changes, subduing international conflicts, wars, peace, talks, financial upheavals and disasters, governments, corruptions, and oppression, problems with churches and schools, a change in moral values, and talk of a new world order. Much of what has happened and much of what is happening in the world is being misconstrued. Misconstrued, that means misunderstood, or misunderstood by ministers, that's what I just said, and politicians, statement, and writings, teachings, and historians, and all for the same reason. This book is intended to shed some light on why most are in ignorance. That means ignorant of things, about such things which are or have occurred in the world. In order to help us understand certain historical and current events in the world, let us reflect back on what the great English playwright William Shakespeare once stated, that all the world is a stage, and the men and women in it merely players. This statement is based on an obvious observation that certain people and nations appear to be acting out a prescribed role in history, as though it were playing in play. It is as though some person or race or nations were assigned a character role and are disdain to follow disdain to follow this role assigned to them while on the earth. So, all right, let's get more deeper into it. Hold on. The scripts, that's talking about the Bible. The statement by the Shakespeare's also has a divine significance to it and a defined scriptural basis, as much of what has happened in the world has been acting out in accordance to God's word and his plan for the world. It is not by accident that certain things happen the way they do. That's right. Or that certain people act the way they do. Talking about the white man. The plans of God and the providence of God revealed in the Bible are at work in the world. Thus the Bible is actually much like a script, talking about the scriptures, the Bible, for a play, as it is written or typed of manuscripts. That means the Bible, the scriptures from God about certain people and events. It should be noted that the word scriptures means, the word scriptures means anything written. Webster says it comes from the Latin word scribo or whatever, meaning to write. The word script comes from the word, some Latin word, and means that same thing. The word scriptures as used in the New Testament is the Greek word graphe, strong, pound key 1124 is derived from the word grapho, pound key 1125, which means to write or describe by writings. You see what I'm saying? Thus, in the scriptures, God is describing things through his messengers by writing the Bible. Then it is much like a script for a play. It describes and contains in its writings these things essential to any production or play to be acting out on stage. The Bible being like a script contains the following attributes of a script. It has a story or stories to tell. It has an author, which is God. It tells and describes certain actors or characters and their role in the story. The characters in this script are Bible, are individual nations, or people. Some have short roles, others have continual roles. Some have short roles, others long and continual roles. The long and continual roles, I already know that's going into the Israelites. And some have short roles. Now, we know that when it comes to Esau and Jacob, each has a character that it's like putting them on stage, just like it's saying. And they each have attributes that they gonna exist. One nation gonna exist the attributes of being in a community, poor, struggling, just like modern day. Modern day, when you look on YouTube, right, you see the attributes and the characteristics of blacks, Hispanics. It's a certain type of way they talk, right? You hear these people, they talk about struggling. They talk about they grew up struggling. They had shit, never had nothing, don't own no land, don't own no none of that. These are you see the character of these people. They basically they chills at home. They don't go out in the public. They don't do none of that stuff. They don't go around fucking with people. They don't go around and just shoot young teenagers down in the streets like these other nations do. You see what I'm saying? Characteristics. Number one, strong, exhaustive concordance of the Bible. It describes certain scenes or events that have or will or are currently transpiring on stage. That's each nation of people is going. They got a limited period of time. They gonna transpire, and that's in Obadiah chapter 1 and 17 and 18. It says the stage is a Shakespeare state. The world or the earth. This is where everything takes place, or where all acts and sense are performed. It has a theme or themes which the stories and events revolve around. So the Bible is God's script or writings of what is to transpire in the world and identifies the characters involved. The confusion and misunderstanding so many are having what is going on in the world today is that they don't know who the main characters are or their roles in the script. For instance, imagine yourself watching a play on a stage. One character who you believe to be a servant is actually a nobleman, and the actor who appears to be appears to be the hero is playing the role of a thief or a valet. One character enters on stage, and you don't know what role he is following and are unable to identify him as one of the characters in the script that's talking about the Bible. You can see how all the events transpire on stage right before your eyes make no sense in an attempt to interpret what is happening and what the play is about could only lead to erroneous conclusion. Even with the script in front of you, the story will be misconstrued if unable to identify the characters in the play. So this is what our people do. This is the reason why a lot of our people work on the police force. This is the reason why they do all that stuff. They work on the police force. They work for these people, the so-called white man, and don't even know the roles and the character. They don't know their role and their character, because we talk about it all the time. Many people does not know their role or they are characters. Like a woman. Let's say a woman. If a woman wasn't raised by both of her parents, and she wasn't taught to be submissive to a man or whatever. She wasn't taught that, and you go out and tell her she can dominate the man. She gonna grow up and believe that that's what she's supposed to have been doing, because that's how she was brought up. The same way with the man. Meaning that you're in this world, you're in this life, you're debating something and don't even know the role or aware of it. This is the same identical thing when you ain't been raised and trained. When we have not had this knowledge in the past, that's why you got a lot of Uncle Toms, Uncle Coons, you got a lot of asshole Uncle Toms and all that type of stuff. Because most of the time, our people don't know the character that we are supposed, that our people are. You see what I'm saying? But the white man, you best believe it, that they know their character and how they are supposed to play out. All right, let's go on. For instance, imagine yourself watching a play on a stage, and one character you believe to be a servant is actually a nobleman, and the actor who appears to be hero is playing the role of a thief or villain. One character enters on stage, and you don't know what role he is following, or are unable to identify him as one of the characters in the script. You can see how all the events transpire on stage right before your eyes. Makes no sense. Any attempt to interpret what is happening and what the play is about could only lead to erroneous conclusion. Even with the script in front of you, the story will be misconstrued if unable to identify the characters in the play. This same status exists with many events in the history of the world and how they relate to the Bible. That's right. God had chosen certain characters or people to act out certain roles and be a part of certain events in the world without knowing who these characters are. Not only are the events that take place in the world confuses and misconstrued, but it will close much of the Bible to true understanding. That's the reason why a lot of people don't know, because they don't know their role that they supposed to be playing. All right? It is crucial we understand who the characters are in their proper role in the script, that means the Bible. To help clear up the confusion, we will attempt to identify one of the main characters in God's script. That's talking about the Bible. That being Esau or Esaw Edom. We can identify who is Esau Edom by reading in the script Bible what was written about him, what he was to be doing on stage earth, and what his role was to be. Predestinated. His role was to be predestinated. Okay, hold on. I hope this music don't get. All right, that was all right. The role was to be predestinated, and what the characteristics and attributes were assigned to this actor, prophecy by the author, God. We then need to compare all this to be historical and current events and see if any of the persons or nations involved in fit the role of Esau Edom or possess any of his attributes. Just like when we see a creature who has a fitted, scaly tail, a flatted, skinny tail, who cuts down trees with his teeth. His thick, brown nails, his fur warm-blooded. We can identify it as a beaver. God had assigned these roles and characteristics to the beaver, and they are permanent marks of its identification. In like manner, the scripts of God reveal certain roles and characteristics surrounding Esau Edom by which we can identify this people. From the forgotten chapter, we have one good clue as to who may occupy the character of Esau Edom. That being the Jewish people, the following material will help to verify this. If we know that one of God's actors, such as Esau Edom, is to prefer is to perform a certain act or possess a certain characteristics, then when we see someone doing the act of expressing the characteristics, we have identified the actor on stage. Then when we see something doing the act or expressing the characteristics, we have identified the actor on stage in the world. That's Esau. No students of history of modern affairs can appreciate the significance of world events without the knowledge of who is Esau Edom and their connection with Jewry. The next one that later on will be, I'm going to show it to you. The characteristics of Esaw Edom. So we're going to deal with that in another. I read from All the World's a Stage. That's what I read. You have one group of people that will play the role, and this video is going on YouTube. I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna do a part 2, and it's gonna be what it's gonna be. The title of the video is gonna be, I'm gonna read what is read in here. Hold on, wait a minute, hold on. Okay, here it is. Part 2 is going to be called, it's going to be on the 3rd page, but the characteristics of Esau Edom. That's the title. That's going to be the next one I'm going to read. The characteristics of Esau Edom. Let me point at it. The characteristics of Esau Edom is what we're going to go off into. So, you don't want to miss that one. Stay tuned. I'm going to read it sometime tonight when I get home, because I got to go over this lesson right here. Esau is the biblical name for the so-called white man. But anyway, a colossal city in space. That's the one I'm going to be going over.